Every time I look at this painting, the same question comes to mind. How can it look so normal, almost too ordinary, and yet feel so deeply unsettling at the same time? The Son of Man, painted by René Magritte in 1964, is still one of the strangest portraits of the 20th century. It gives you the exact amount of information needed to trigger your curiosity, and then it refuses to satisfy it. A man who looks like a respectable businessman stands in front of a low stone wall. He wears an overcoat, a red tie, and a bowler hat. Beyond the wall lie the sea and a quiet, cloudy sky. The composition is perfectly balanced, almost like the formal photographs we are used to seeing in everyday life. And yet, the more familiar the image becomes, the less comfortable I feel about what I am actually looking at. I am looking at a portrait, and my first instinct is to search for the face, but I can never actually see it. When we look at another person, we instinctively look for expression, emotion, and identity. And Magritte denies us that basic access. We know it is there, behind that floating green apple. We can almost see the eyes, but we can never see them completely. But the apple is not the only strange detail. The jacket is slightly unbuttoned. The left arm looks wrong, bent backwards at the elbow in a way that feels anatomically impossible. His torso seems slightly too long, almost as if it were endless. Nothing dramatic is happening, and yet something is clearly not right. And because the style is so realistic, the impossible part feels even more disturbing. It feels like reality is pretending to be normal while hiding something else beyond our comprehension. The story behind the painting begins a year earlier when Magritte's friend and advisor, Harry Torsener, asked him to paint a self-portrait. Magritte described it as a kind of moral dilemma, a problem of conscience. How do you show identity when identity itself is always partially hidden? The fact that he could not approach the self-portrait in a more straightforward way was not accidental. It echoed the core principles of Surrealism, an art movement Magritte was deeply involved in and helped define in his own way. Surrealists believe that beneath the surface of ordinary reality lies something hidden, something shaped by dreams, by the unconscious, by thoughts that escape rational control. André Breton's Surrealist Manifesto, influenced by Freud's discoveries about the unconscious mind, framed it as a way to reach a deeper truth, something beyond logic, something the mind hides from itself. According to him, Surrealism is pure psychic automatism, a definition illustrated through automatic writing based on the spontaneous association of ideas. Many Surrealist painters embrace disorder and improvisation. Their images often feel fluid, irrational, and dreamlike, like visions that formed without planning. But Magritte's Surrealism does not feel like a dream you had at night. It feels like a dream you have while awake, a daydream that happens inside a perfectly normal room. His work often looks very carefully planned, neat, almost academic, and the objects are often painted as if they belong in a textbook illustration. Magritte spent years working in advertising, illustration, and graphic design. He knew how quickly a simple image can impact the viewer and how powerful a minimal composition can be. His most famous work is The Treachery of Images, a painting of a pipe with the words, "Ceci n'est pas une pipe." This is not a pipe. The sentence feels like a joke, because obviously it is a pipe, but you cannot pack it with tobacco. You cannot smoke it. It is not a pipe. It is an image of a pipe. Philosophers loved this, especially Michel Foucault, who later wrote an entire book titled, "This is not a pipe," arguing that the sentence itself becomes part of the puzzle, because the word pipe is also not a pipe. It is merely another attempt to describe reality using symbols we have collectively agreed upon. Magritte is forcing you to notice the gap between a thing and its representation, between an object and the image of the object, between the world and the symbols we use to describe it, or at least try to describe and comprehend it for ourselves. In his later works, he turns that same doubt toward identity itself. In Not to be Reproduced, a man stands before a mirror, but the reflection shows the back of his head instead of his face. The mirror obeys the rules for everything except identity. Even the book on the mantle reflects correctly, which makes the error feel even more deliberate. And in multiple works, Magritte covers faces with cloth, flowers, birds, and objects. Because for him, identity is never fully accessible. It cannot be fully grasped, not by the viewer and not even by the self. The Son of Man continues this exploration, hiding the figure's face and denying us the ability to see it fully. Magritte said that it depicts human desire and the conflict between what is visible and what is not. So you have the apparent face and the apple hiding the visible but hidden, the face of the person. It's something that happens constantly. Everything we see hides another thing. We always want to see what is hidden by what we see. If you could clearly see his face, the painting would probably feel boring. If the face were completely absent or erased, you might not care. But Magritte gives you the worst possible situation for your curiosity. You can see enough to want more. It is precisely this frustration, this need to know what the face looks like behind the apple, that has naturally given rise to religious interpretations of this painting. Many people connect it to the biblical apple in the Garden of Eden, temptation, knowledge, and the moment humans became self-aware. The title, The Son of Man, adds fuel to that interpretation because it carries a strong biblical resonance, used for humanity in general and also associated with Christ in the Gospels. The apple is the only thing standing between you and the man's face, the only thing separating you from knowledge. And at the same time, it is the most visually striking element in the entire composition, the object that draws your attention immediately. It blocks access and functions as the greatest temptation. The viewer's frustration becomes part of the artwork. You are not just observing the painting, it's carefully guiding your reaction. It makes you feel the discomfort of being prevented from knowing. Magritte deepens that discomfort by allowing one eye to remain visible, just enough to confirm that there is a person, a consciousness behind it. You can almost meet him, but you never do. The apple here becomes a visual metaphor for desire itself, the desire to know, to see, to uncover what remains just out of reach. Others say that the choice of the apple is not necessarily connected to religion, but rather to Magritte's broader exploration of ordinary objects in extraordinary contexts. Apples appear throughout his work as symbols of the everyday made mysterious. An apple is something we think we know completely, yet here it becomes an object of profound mystery and philosophical contemplation. But what if the apple is not only blocking our view of him? What if it is also blocking his view of the world? Only one eye remains visible. He does not appear fully present. It is unclear whether this obstruction is voluntary. Does he refuse to look directly at reality? Or is he simply unable to see it clearly? He cannot fully see us, just as we cannot fully see him. The barrier works in both directions. Or maybe by making the man faceless, Magritte turns him into a symbol of modern identity as a mask. He stands rigid and formal, almost as if he is presenting himself to society in a formal photograph. The suit and bowler hat suggest respectability, conformity, and anonymity. The sea and sky behind him are open and vast, but the low wall creates a boundary, a separation. It is as if the world is there, but held at a distance. And suddenly, the painting isn't just a portrait. It's about what we hide and what we choose not to show, about identity as something we cover, filter, and control. As you can see, the meanings of this painting are certainly not limited to a single explanation. There can be as many interpretations as there are people standing in front of it. Some see a commentary on identity. Others see a meditation on perception. Some read it through religion, temptation, knowledge, the fall of man. Others see modern alienation, social masks, emotional distance. Magritte was not interested in giving answers, and what you see depends on what you bring with you. Your beliefs, your doubts, your fears, and your curiosity. He places one ordinary object in one impossible position, and suddenly you notice how desperate you are to complete the picture. So, the question the painting leaves us with is not simply what is behind the apple. The question is, why do we want to know so badly? And what does that desire reveal about us? I would love to read your interpretation in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.